Hey everybody, this is Zack Rosen from The New Gay. I'm here with one of my favorite queer musicians. This is Erin
McKeown.
I would call you Erin McKeown, right?
Yeah, but it's actually McKeown.
Yes, which is why it's nice to be here in person. We're here at the 930 Club in Washington, D.C., and Erin was nice enough to give me a couple minutes of her time. So, Erin, how are you?
I'm excellent, actually. And
Good.
you're so cute.
Oh, thank you.
It's so exciting to meet cute boys.
Oh, well, it's nice to meet cute girls as well. Too bad I'll never be able to do anything about it.
That's right.
The first thing I just want to get out of the way is it would be remiss of me to not mention that we're actually here because Erin's opening for Ani DiFranco, or DiFranco?
DiFranco.
DiFranco, I'm bad with last names today, on a series of concerts. I sometimes think that no matter who you are or what genre of music you're in, if you're a queer lady musician in the year 2010, you're kind of in Ani's shadow. So.
Yeah, well, that's been an issue for me for a while. When I first started, it didn't matter what I sounded like. Honestly, it did not matter at all what I sounded like. People would always say, you sound just like Ani, and I was really pissed about it for a while because I really felt like I had something unique to say, and it's like, in some ways, it's like, there are a lot of good golfers besides Tiger Woods, and you happen to come along in the Tiger Woods era, and which is not to say at all that Ani is not amazing and not the Tiger Woods of folk music. I guess that's an unfortunate illusion these days. That's not what I meant. But
well, maybe she is a sex addict. Who knows?
Oh my God, let's not go there. Not on the internet anyway. No, she was always a hero of mine, but to constantly be defined by her was difficult for me. And I did a few things very consciously to do what I could about that, which one of those was became really committed to playing the electric guitar, and really finding my way on that instrument as my own. I think the comparisons are much worse if you do happen to play acoustic guitar. So I made a choice a long time ago to play electric guitar, and I made a choice to really commit to my own sound. And once I kind of found out what that was, I had a real singular focus for a long time about it. And I feel really strongly now about having created something that's mine and that sounds like mine. And the beautiful thing about that is that allows me the freedom to come and collaborate with a hero like Ani, and not worry anymore about being compared or in her shadow or anything like that. And it's also allowed me to put my newest record out on her label, which I think is a beautiful collaboration.
Cool. And why don't you tell us about your newest record?
It's called Hundreds of Lions. It came out in October. And it's different from my other records in that it uses a different palette of instruments than I used before. So it has orchestral instruments, violins, violas, clarinets, bass clarinets, saxophones, flutes, and they're mixed in with organic instruments, pianos, guitars, a little bit of regular drum kit. Most of the drumming is actually tiny electronic beats. So you've got these warm orchestral sounds, you've got guitars and pianos, and then you've got these little electronic beats that are kind of melting all together.
Oh, that sounds really cool.
I'll get you a copy.
Yeah, well, they should all get copies too.
Yeah, you should get a copy.
How does does your folk background fit into this at all?
I think that's
background as someone who played folk.
Yeah, well, I think that's something that also fits in with that other conversation that we began with, which was that I never have considered myself a folk musician in the sense of that usually comes with a pejorative, and it also comes with this expectation that you do play acoustic guitar and that somehow it's not ass-kicking.
Right.
And I think Ani has done a great job of turning that stereotype on its head, but it seems to still only relate to her.
Right.
So
every other lesbian musician, queer lady musician is gentle.
Still. And you know what? And there's a wonderful portion of my community that does sound like that, and it sounds great at it. But it's also never defined what I do.
Right. And pardon all the queer questions again, but
well, this is a queer blog.
Right, and it's fun things to talk about. But do you think there's I think right now the gay boy sound is electro.
Yeah.
Like gay boys dance to electro. Is there any kind of similar, this is what the queer ladies like?
I feel, I'm not the person with my finger on the pulse of that. I hope to be part of a queer person's music collection. But in terms of like me, being able to speak for a community, I don't know. I can only speak for myself, which is to say that I like a wide range of artists. I listen to a lot of different kind of music. And for me, my sexuality is not a defining factor for what I listen to.
Right. Nor I would say probably what you, as you said, doesn't really define what you play.
Yeah, it doesn't define what I play. It's never really. I mean, it's obviously part of what I write, but it's also never been the forefront. I think that's another thing that boxes that people make assumptions about queer women who play music is that there's an assumption there's a very limited subject range that you're going to write about, which is other queer women. From an I perspective. And I've also never been interested in that.
Okay. That's also good.
I've been taking apart everything you wanted to talk.
No, this is great. Better than if you disagreed with everything.
Yeah.
How about, I also thought, I was listening to your music today, it seems almost there's cabaret flourishes. Might be that kind of live with drum machine thing that you're talking about.
Well, I think the queer sensibility in my music does come from something older for me, and an older sense of like underground jazz clubs and sort of out of left field 20s and 30s music, which has in some ways become synonymous with a gay sensibility. You talk about early Broadway, vaudeville, and then you move into sort of I don't know, like German cabaret,
right?
Which has a
naturally,
which has a really beautiful queer sensibility to it too.
Okay. Cool. And then, since you said queer sensibility, do you think that you have a high queer fan base? That's another, I guess, kind of... This interview is called Knocking Down Lesbian Music Stereotypes. That
right.
You step into the audience. It's phase one for the 930 Club. Well,
I think one thing I've always been really proud of is that I've always had a really diverse audience. Between men and women, and between people who identify as queer and people who don't identify as queer. I'd like to see a more diverse audience racially for me, and I'd like to see like a more diverse class audience for myself. Right now, I feel like I'm sort of limited in accessing those communities. I'd like to figure out some way to do more and collaborate more with that kind of stuff. But I totally have a queer fan base, but I think, talking about knocking down lesbian stereotypes, I think one unfortunate thing that the greater music industry thinks about queer people is that only queer people come to see us.
Yeah, it's true.
And that there's somehow, when you add your sexuality into your music, then only those people are interested, which I think is really wrong, because I think you come to the club tonight and you're going to see a ton of straight people and a ton of queer people, and probably a lot of people you don't even know. You're right. Wrong about half the audience.
Right.
So, but in the greater music business, there is still the sentence that says like, oh, it's a lesbian coffee house artist, as that limits the number of people you can play to and who's going to see you.
Or will it say Erin McKeown, though she's a lesbian, is not a coffee house musician? Do you think that has to be addressed somehow?
I know. I guess it has to be addressed in the sense of, the thing about sexuality and we add it into your music is really difficult. Because I identify as a queer woman. I don't identify as lesbian, and
pardon me for using.
That's right, but those terms do get used interchangeably, and in the music, it's a gray area.
Yeah.
It's a gray area, but for me, it's an important distinction. So the only thing I can do is just keep suggesting this is how I identify. But
do they listen to you? I mean, I know.
No, which is also really frustrating.
Right.
I think the whole point of this movement, is to be allowed the freedom to identify how you want to identify, and to change that if you need to change it, and to be fluid about it if you need to be fluid about it. People are a big spectrum, and whether that's sexuality or gender. And
or music they listen to.
Or music they listen to. I don't want to, if I was a gay boy and I wanted to listen to something that wasn't typically gay boy, I would hope there would not be pressure to,
Yeah.
So maybe you could...
Thumbs up there. Yeah, that's probably a pretty natural ending point, I think. I don't think I can top that as a sentiment.
Okay, don't try.
Thanks to Erin McKeown, everybody.
Thanks, Zach.
Yay.